Good afternoon from Singapore, and good morning to our speakers joining us from the UAE, and welcome to today's webinar entitled Stargate UAE, the engine behind the UAE's AI vision. This session is hosted by the Middle East Institute at the National University of Singapore, and in collaboration with the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research. My name is Clemens Che, and I will be your moderator for today's session, which is the 19th installment of our public education series known as Bridging the Gulf. Bridging the Gulf series aims to help the public better understand the latest developments in the Gulf Cooperation Council countries or the GCC countries, whether it relates to tourism and cultural sectors or other groundbreaking areas, such as today's topic, which has to do with the United Arab Emirates AI and tech ambitions. After the Emirates Mars mission that saw the UAE become the first Arab nation to undertake space exploration, which was the topic of our last episode, today we delve into another novel area, the Stargate UAE AI Data Center, which was first announced during US President Donald Trump's visit to the country earlier in May. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce our two speakers for today. Joining us today is Dr. Ahmed Al-Safti, an economic advisor at the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research. With over 30 years of experience in economic policy, development finance, and strategic research, his career spans leading roles in regional and international institutions, policy think tanks, and academia. Prior to joining the ECSSR, Dr. Al-Safti served as the faculty member at the American University in Cairo, and he directed the Delta Research Center, a consultancy agency based in Cairo. He previously led the Loans and Technical Assistance Division at the Arab Monetary Fund in Abu Dhabi and provided consultancy services to the IMF in Washington, D.C. He began his professional journey as an economist at the Central Bank of Egypt and has since advised policymakers across 12 Middle East and North African countries, offering technical support in economic policy formulation and implementation. Welcome, Dr. Al-Safti. Thank you. Also joining us is Mr. Ahmed Al-Efari, a researcher at the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research, specializing in artificial intelligence and cybersecurity within the Advanced Sciences and Artificial Intelligence Department. His research focuses on the geopolitical and security impacts of emerging technologies, particularly on how AI systems and cyber operations are transforming global power structures and national security frameworks. Mr. Al-Efari earned his bachelor's degree in Engineering Management Information and Systems from Southern Methodist University, Texas, in 2021, where his work on developing an AI-based predictive model for detecting corporate bankruptcy was recognized. He also completed an intensive summer program on technology drive management at SMU here, Singapore Management University, in 2019. So welcome to you, Mr. Ahmed Al-Efari.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Dr. Clemens.
Thank you. Our guest speakers today will deliver a presentation before we enter the Q&A segment, where members of the audience are invited to put in your questions on the Zoom chat box. And without further ado, let me hand over to our friends from the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Clemens. And good morning for those who are in the UAE, and good evening for those esteemed audience who are in Singapore. It is a true honor to be here among such distinguished scholars, researchers, and thought leaders. And on behalf of the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research, please allow me to express our appreciation to the National University of Singapore and the Middle East Institute for hosting such important dialogue on the UAE ambitions in AI. Actually, standing here today, I'm reminded of something we often say in the UAE. The future does not wait for everyone. It must be designed and correctly imagined. That, in this sense specifically, this captures the spirit of UAE's journey. And to start, we have to understand what is the history and what made UAE to start thinking of or planning to be among key leaders in artificial intelligence. So in 2017, the UAE government launched a long-term national vision under the leadership of UAE to mark the country's 100th anniversary in 2071. That's called UAE Centennial 2071. So what does this represent? It represents the most ambitious future plan ever designed in the UAE history. So talking about the UAE Centennial 2071, so what does this represent? It represents the most ambitious future plan ever designed for the UAE or in the UAE history. A 100-year roadmap to prepare the nation for the post-oil era, the age of AI and global leadership in this promising industry. As you can see in this slide, this centennial is revived on 4 main pillars. The first one is a future-focused government. What does that mean? It means a government that adapts quickly, uses AI and other advanced technology efficiently, and maintains high trust with its citizens. The second pillar is excellent education. Excellent education can be understood as schools that focus on advanced science, tech innovation, and national values to create generations ready for the future global leadership. And the third pillar is a diversified knowledge economy, which is a strong, sustainable economy powered by innovation, entrepreneurship, and global partnerships, less dependent on oil. The fourth pillar is a happy and cohesive society, which is a secure, tolerant, and inclusive society that preserves Emirati identity, cultures, and values while embracing diversity. So now we can understand this Centennial 2071 as the bigger or the umbrella vision, as we can say. But we have to know that this centennial, it connects to other medium-term strategies, such as the National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence 2031 and the UAE Energy Strategy 2050. So while the Centennial 2071, where we want to be a nation in 100 years, the UAE AI Strategy 2031 defines how we begin this journey. And as you can see on this slide, the UAE National AI Strategy 2031 outlines comprehensive roadmap to integrate AI across government and key industries, from energy to logistics to healthcare. It emphasizes investing in human development through education, training, and attracting talents, enhancing government efficiency via AI-enabled services, simulating private sector innovation through incentives and hubs for AI companies, and pursuing ambitious regional and global leadership in AI adoption. These strategies are supported by parallel initiatives in energy, notably the UAE commitment to clean energy to power data centers and AI infrastructures sustainably. So to do the execution, and I can recall or mention a couple of examples here. One of them is a nationwide AI talent development plan that launched in partnership with Microsoft, aims to train 1 million people in AI in the UAE by 2027. Another example is the UAE has established as well a cutting-edge institutions like the Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence, the world's first AI-dedicated graduate university, and first research collaborations, for example, a joint AI research with the program with the MIT in the US to drive innovation. Another companies are really heavily investing right now in the UAE and in the UAE ecosystem. For example, Microsoft is building large cloud data centers that is planned to be 160 megawatt, and local companies such as G42 is scaling data centers capacity to 5 gigawatt. All that enabled by the UAE abundant energy resources. And as you can see here, we see that AI is poised a transformation in the UAE economy. And as you can see, by 2030, AI technologies are expected to contribute almost 14% of the UAE's GDP, one of the highest shares in the world, as well as we are targeting a share of 2% of global share worldwide of AI economic output. AI could also add roughly 96 billion as in cumulative value in the UAE economy by 2031 through productivity gains and new innovations. So energy, energy is a big thing. We cannot move forward without securing a right source of energy. So it's important to note that UAE AI strategy complement other national strategies. For instance, the UAE Energy Strategy 2050 and the Net Zero Initiative by 2050, which intersect with AI strategy on the aspect of sustainability and energy supply for tech industries. So, and likewise, the National Innovation Strategy and initiatives like Smart Dubai overlap with UAE efforts as they all drive towards smarter cities and digital economies. So a critical enabler of the UAE's AI ambitions is a robust energy strategy. The UAE is simultaneously a major energy producer and a clean energy pioneer in the region. It's investing heavily in solar and nuclear and grid modernization to meet the surging electricity demand of AI projects and data centers. So one of them is a landmark of Al Wathba solar plant, will deliver 1 gigawatt of renewable power by 2027, using 5.2 gigawatt solar PV plus 19 gigawatt of battery storage to provide a continuous clean energy. And so here is some steps that UAE have done to lead this industry. For example, as you can see, in October 2017, the UAE government created a dedicated post of a Minister of State for Artificial Intelligence, the first such cabinet position in the world. This move underscored AI's importance to national policy at the highest level. At the same time, UAE also established the Mohammed bin Zayed University, as well as the Technology Innovation Institute. So this university it can be considered as a flagship project in talent development. It's the world's first graduate level research focused university that dedicated exclusively to AI models and studies. And it's based in Abu Dhabi. It offers master's and PhD programs in core of AI domains such as computer vision, machine learning, and natural language processing. Also, the UAE it adopted widely the AI models within its government. You can see here in Abu Dhabi and the UAE, so many services have been improved, and their efficiency is getting better and better. And we have so many AI pilot projects in areas like healthcare and transportation, as well as partnership. So UAE cannot be alone in this in this industry. It has to be so many partnerships that to foster its goal and to make it possible for it. So to translate into tangible capacity, the UAE is finalizing one of its most ambitious national projects, that it's called UAE Stargate. So my colleague, please allow me to give the stage or the floor to Dr. Ahmed, who will take you into this next step.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. So as my colleague, Mr. Al-Afari mentioned, this is a sort of focal point for number of consistent strategies within one part or one of the major aspects of the strategies for UAE is taking advantage of whatever you have from the competitive point of view, the comparative advantage to be able to not only focus on the domestic economy, but on the connectivity, including digital connectivity. The UAE, when they are thinking about the future, they have their visions, including the position of UAE as in the Middle East, connecting east-west, south to north, within I think around 1,000 kilometers. You can serve 3 billion people which is a large part of course, of the global economy. They are building very strong relationship with everyone. They are cooperating with everyone. And with this futuristic look at what's drive the future economy, the Stargate project start to appear. So the Stargate UAE, which was announced in May 2025, is part of a greater project that was announced by OpenAI and many other parties we are going to talk about in the US. This project was to build the infrastructure to allow the advancement of AI over time. This infrastructure at the beginning was announced around like 500 billion US dollars in the US. Now we can see in Texas, they are building their first mega project for AI campus. They're currently working on it, and has the US part, also the international part. And the first project within the international part is the Stargate UAE, which was announced May 2025. This is the first international expansion of OpenAI's Stargate infrastructure program. It should start like on stages. The very first stage for the immediate future, it should be in 2026. It would have the capacity of 200 megawatts being installed, and then it will move to 1 gigawatt, and then in the future, by the completion of the project, it will be around 5 gigawatts, which will move from data center to cluster to AI campus. Just to know the size and the computing power of this, 200 megawatts, I would just, like if I'm comparing it to a city, it will be a sort of a small city like Boulder, Colorado, for example. The consumption of Boulder, Colorado, 1 gigawatt will be, it's sort of mid-sized city like San Jose or San Diego in California. 5 gigawatt, we are talking about like the consumption of a city like New York City or Chicago, for example. So it's a huge project, but at the same time, thinking about why it should be in Abu Dhabi, because number of factors impacting the establishment of data centers. First constraint, of course, is the energy part. So this is why actually, as my colleague mentioned, the connection between the UAE AI strategy and the energy strategy for UAE in the future. This is one thing. The second, to have low latency if you are, or like the distance whether you do the inference or providing the services, and being able to serve within like a certain distance, many customers here. This gets you an advantage. The third, of course, the financing part and the international cooperation and the ability to have the credibility to connect with the investors, with the different types of tech you have, your achievements that been made, which will allow you to do some project, like a project on this scale. So this is how the Stargate UAE is designed. As I mentioned, 200 megawatt installment at the beginning. It will deploy around 100,000 NVIDIA's latest Grace Blackwell 300 chips. Those are the major ones. It will be scaled up, of course, with the expansion of the campus. As I mentioned, 1 gigawatt, then 5 gigawatt, which is going to be the last stage. The objective of this project is to host and train large AI models. So it's mainly about training. OpenAI will use it at the beginning. You will have your own data as UAE sovereign to have your own sovereign AI capability. you will be able to develop large scale models specialized, for example, for Arabic language models and so on. And of course, it's not only to serve UAE, but to serve the region around UAE, especially like you have Africa, you have Central and South Asia, the MENA region in general, and it will be connected to similar projects to Europe and to the US in the sense of having this sort of network of super, I would say, AI data campuses around the globe that can serve in advancement of AI and the deployment of AI in the future. So again, as I mentioned, if we look at partners in this, it's under the new US UAE AI Acceleration Partnership Framework, which was announced during President Trump's visit in May 2025. This is to help speeding up the investment in both countries, including reciprocal investments. So entities like OpenAI, Microsoft, and so on would invest in UAE, and UAE at the same time would invest in the US. The main operator will be or for the data center of the ownership of data center, it's G42. They have a subsidiary called Khazna Data Centers. Those are the ones for the data centers themselves. Then you have OpenAI, which is going to develop and utilize the compute power of the center for modeling and for the training of the models. This is on the modeling side. Then you have Oracle, which provide cloud and data center technology. This is the technological part. NVIDIA, which is going to supply the GPUs. As I mentioned, the forthcoming Grace Blackwell chips. Then you have Cisco, which is going to have, which is going to handle the engineering for the networks and cybersecurity. And then you have the major investment arms. You have SoftBank Group from Japan, which is the major financier for the whole project Stargate, including Stargate UAE. And under Mubadala, you have the Sovereign Wealth Fund that was established, MGX. And this fund supposedly will be able to handle around $100 billion of portfolio concentrating on AI. So those are the partners. Again, as I mentioned, by the way, this is a photo of the construction that's going on right now for the project. Again, at the full build up or build out, it will be 5 gigawatt, which again, if I'm comparing to cities at the full capacity or the full deployment, it will be the needing electricity around a city like Chicago, for example. So how it's going to be the energy, how it's going to be managed for the campus. It's a mixture of nuclear, large-scale solar and natural gas generation. 70% of it is expected to come from carbon-free sources, mainly solar, as my friend and my colleague mentioned, the Wathba solar field, and the biggest project and the smartest project, I think, in the region. And plus the nuclear power, we have Baraka nuclear power plant with potential expansions in the future. It aligns well with the UAE's net zero 2050 carbon reduction pledge. So mainly because it's based on, as I mentioned, renewable energies and clean energy. This is from the supply side, but of course, from the AI side, you will have a sort of optimization of the grid. It will be closely integrated with the national grid. So you have the building of the capacity, but at the same time, you have the efficiency coming from the integration of the grid using AI in management of the grid. and innovative infrastructure design, especially for the advanced cooling system, because if we see the consumption of data centers or data campuses, you have a part about the cooling, of course, this is the technical part. Then you have part about the training and for the inference after that, which consumes most of the energy during this period. So we have advanced cooling system, mainly through water and energy efficient technologies, how you can see the peak of the consumption or the heat within, at the same time, you have the solar capacity would peak at the same time. This is some technical aspects, but definitely it's interesting to see how the advanced cooling system and energy efficiency technology would work. One major thing here is that what's expected is the energy cost per unit of computing could be up to 40% lower than in the West. This is very critical and one of the reasons why UAE is very interesting, plus the other aspects that I mentioned in allocating this campus here. It's very interesting that this morning in Financial Times, one of the major headlines is Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, predicting that China is going to win in the AI race. It's a shocking announcement. This is his own opinion. I'm not judging his opinion, but he based his opinion on the cheap energy. This is one aspect that is very important and very critical in the AI race that we are seeing right now. And being able to have energy cost per unit of computing 40% lower than in the West. Also at the same time, the low latency serving the region, those are very important and critical aspects of having this project that would have this sort of efficiency. And okay, so the main objectives here, you have domestic objectives and you have regional and international objectives from this project. So for this project, the first thing, the basic thing is that to develop and deploy AI solutions locally at scale. This is very important because as my colleague mentioned about the UAE Centennial 2071 and associated visions like we the UAE 2031, UAE is moving toward more diversification of the economy. It's already diversified. During the past, it was diversified, including logistics. This is one important aspect, including clean energy, tourism and hospitality, construction, and so on. But for the next phase, it should be based on technology and deploying and making UAE ready for the future. You need to develop and deploy AI solutions to be deployed both on the government level and on the private sector level intensively within the next coming years. So this is one part. As been mentioned, there are priority sectors or that will be benefiting from the deployment. The government should be one of the beneficiaries. It's targeted to be one of the first governments to deploy between 70 and 100% the use of AI in all government level of interactions, from planning to interactions with the government to facilitating procedures related to government, connecting all government entities together. And we can see this impact right now. All of us here in UAE, we can feel, we almost use, when we interact with the government every single day, we use the intensive use of UAE, which speed up the process, make it more smoother, make it more efficient, and it can cut costs by around like $20 billion. This is one of the objectives. At the same time, you can think about the data centers or the data campuses as the beginning, but you can have the basis to build the supply chain, both upstream and downstream from there. There are plans for localization, for example, of the chip industry. This is one thing. You can think about the ecosystem that can help the incubators to develop their own business. SMEs is part of this. And of course, deployment in financial sector, in logistics, as been mentioned, the major sectors that the UAE sees it's going to benefit tremendously from the efficiency coming from UAE, from deploying AI. As been mentioned before, it's expected that AI-related activities will contribute in order of 13 to 14% of UAE GDP by 2030. And advanced research and knowledge transfer also is one of the major factors here. Lots of research and development, for example, start to show results. For example, we have two major models, JACE AI, which is already been deployed domestically, and lately, I think in September, we have the first low-cost advanced reasoning model being developed and open source for public to use, which is K2 Think. That was announced in September 25. We have the advancement in research through institutions like Mohammed bin Zayed University for AI, which shows like lots of advanced research right now. And at the same time, the UAE hopes for knowledge transfer from those also sort of partnerships. So you can build your knowledge, you can build your own R&D using very specifically for Arabic language models. You can have this sort of ecosystem. You can create thousands of skilled jobs and the ecosystem for innovation within the UAE. So this is inside UAE. If we look outside, as I mentioned before, one major thing about this project is that it interconnects with OpenAI's other current and future sites in the US, Europe, and Asia. So you have this sort of integrated networks that can work together and can help, can cooperate in model building and deploying, training and deploying. Invest back into the US digital infrastructure, as I mentioned, as a part of reciprocal deal. It serves clients across Europe, Africa, and Asia with relatively low latency, which is very important for cost-wise. It can boost the UAE soft power, of course, and economic ties. And this is something that I would focus on because the UAE, they started knowing the advantage of regional and global cooperation and how this can lead the future through logistics, as I mentioned before. We can see from the logistical side, the infrastructure being built in UAE, you have those connections to the ports, and the one important part here is that the UAE is entering into what we call CEPA agreement, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreements. Those comprehensive partnership agreements are right now either being already formally deployed or finalized, waiting for the last stages or under negotiations around 30 countries. Those countries were being chosen strategically. And this comprehensive partnership, economic partnership agreements cover, it has lots of benefits because it's more than trade agreement. It covers trade both in goods and services. It covers investment. It covers even government procurement, SMEs, whatever you think of as part of a comprehensive economic mutual beneficial partnership would be included. Of course, it goes through negotiations, so it's very flexible. It depends on whichever country the UAE is dealing with. And for UAE, it's not only about the UAE economy. So it's not bilateral. But again, it's sort of building this sort of network that can benefit you logistically, that can put you in the middle of the supply chain. And we can see now that the supply chains are reconfigured. So you can see from those sort of comprehensive economic partnership, like for example, if you have, I'm just giving random examples with Colombia, for example, you have a comprehensive economic partnership, and you have another partnership with India, for example. So you can see how you can be in the middle and using those agreements to connect both countries via the UAE and how you can add value there. You can think about it also from the AI perspective, because AI, at one point, it will be an export of service. So this is why a comprehensive economic partnership, including exports of services, including investment, is very important for this sort of international cooperation and being able to connect and serve regionally and internationally in this sense. So this is sort of the agreement and how it's been within the vision of the AI strategy to serve as a hub regionally and globally. We can see signs of this already. I'm just giving an example, not from the Stargate, but even before Stargate, UAE, when Microsoft had this the agreement with G42 and Microsoft invested in G42. One of the major projects there was a 1 gigawatt data center in Kenya, for example. This is a joint project that would use the Azure cloud and would be used for developing and deploying AI models that can help in financial services and so on for Africa. Again, this sort of project is very important because, first of all, it's based on a very viable country in Africa known for financial innovation. It integrates lots of things within Kenya, like, for example, training and building human capacities there through training. It's based on renewable energy because it's going to use geothermal energy in this project. And again, this is sort of cooperation that within the vision of UAE about international cooperation. So in this sense, again, just to put this like in a nutshell about this framework and how it can help economic transformation. This is the basic idea, looking to the future and focusing on the sectors of the future and how AI is going to be integrated in all of those sectors. Innovation breakthroughs, this is one major ambition for UAE, is to be a leader in innovation, regional development and access, strengthening global partnerships, as I mentioned, with reputable partners like OpenAI, Microsoft, and so on, public service and capacity building inside, attracting talents and FDI to UAE. Again, just to show how all the steps come together, attracting talents. The UAE, if we noticed during the last decades, started lots of innovative programs to attract talents. You developed your own excellence of living standards within the UAE that can match any culture that can integrate cultures together. But at the same time, for example, the UAE has a golden visa for talents. It's not based only on investment. This is one arm, but on talents. So you have a golden visa for 10 years based on talents that are required, very easy to get if you have the right talents and have the right skills. No sort of bureaucracy there. This is one part of giving the confidence for the talents to come and consider UAE as long-term living and living society for them that provides excellent healthcare system, educational system, ease to deal with the government, safety, which is very Abu Dhabi, for example, and Dubai are ranked among the top 5 safest countries in the world. You have all the facilities. You are in the middle of the world, so you can go anywhere. So this is one part of how all those blocks are getting integrated together to create this sort of ecosystem for AI, both domestically and regionally and internationally, to have such a project for the future. I think we are almost at time, so I will stop here. And thank you for listening and inviting us. And we would welcome any questions from your side.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Al-Safty and Mr. Ahmed Al-Ifari for the presentation. We will now enter the Q&A segment. We have some time for questions. To our audience, you are invited to put your questions, if any, into the Zoom Q&A box. But to get the ball rolling, perhaps let me start off as a moderator to kick off the segment. And I think my first question, I have a few, and depending on how lively our audience will be, let me start with the first, which is what you mentioned earlier about the US UAE acceleration AI framework or partnership framework that you mentioned earlier. So with reference to this, how will China's presence in the AI and tech market complicate such a partnership with the US? I mean, Huawei, for example, was reportedly intending to sell its AI chips to the UAE and elsewhere in the Middle East as well. We've also seen EN, I think what is called the former Etisalat network, also recently signing a deal with Huawei to launch an optical innovation center and to build some AI networks as well. So, my question is, how will the UAE balance both if they're going to do that, or how will they approach this kind of partnerships in the AI sector?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. And this is one of the things that if I would put some sort of challenges, I would put as a challenge because first of all, definitely, if you talk about AI, this is one of, if not the ultimate, sort of competition between the US and China. I mentioned this, the article that came out this morning talking about the Chinese technology and the deployment of AI in China. We know the new models, we know the restrictions for chips for advanced chips, and even China. Also, one of the pieces of news about this is that they are preventing the Western AI chips of deployed domestically. This is one of the pieces of the news that came this morning. The basic idea here is that for UAE, as long as you can guarantee this sort of separation, then technologically, then you can work with it. Okay. The basic idea is that the UAE, in many aspects, can deal with the US and with China. UAE is part of the PRI, for example, but at the same time, they are part of IMEC, which was announced as a sort of an alternative for the PRI. But at the same time, as I mentioned, as long as you can manage those relations, as long as you separate between those two, as long as you can control, for example, the networks. We saw who are the parts or who are the partners from the US side, including the network by Cisco, include the other parties there. It's a sort of integrated framework that can be separated from China. So you can have in some part Chinese technology being deployed, as you heard about, for example, data centers, but at the same time, as long as you can separate those technically and having a very strengthening control over like the chips and networks and things like that, I think you can manage it. But you cannot just like say, okay, I'm just going only in one direction. This is one thing. The second thing, if you can manage those relations, and for UAE, it proves that it can deal with everyone as long as you have mutual benefits and you can manage those sort of risks, then it can be doable. Of course, the scale is different. This is one other aspect. We're talking here about one scale, and with China, and maybe with China because of the way that they develop their models and the way they need the compute capacity for them, it could be different. So again, this is the skill of how you can manage your relationship without choosing only one part and against another part.
Thank you. Let me just quickly run across the Q&A box. We haven't had any questions yet, so let me ask and stay on this so-called geopolitically related questions. We started with the US-China, but how about regionally? Regionally, how would Stargate UAE, for example, measure up to what your neighbors are doing? For example, in Saudi Arabia, they also have an AI project known as Humane, and how does the UAE project measure up to its neighbors? And is there generally a convergence within the GCC on this AI drive?
Okay. Thank you again for the very interesting question. The basic thing is that, first of all, let's talk about the two major ones, Saudi Arabia and the UAE. First of all, it's not a zero-sum game. It's a sort of, you have comparative advantage, and actually both the two models differ significantly from each other. Like even for the use, you have different partners, even if it's from the US. This is one thing. One, like in the UAE, it's about developing the models, training the models. For Saudi Arabia, they are more on the inference side of the model. Definitely, if you think about the size of the impact of the AI, and we're not talking about like ChatGPT or those things, but in general, in all the aspects in the future, how it can be utilized beyond what we see right now. And if you see the GCC countries as in the middle of the globe, why not at one point of time you can have a sort of a GCC cluster that can see the comparative advantage of each one and could be combined and be integrated to serve as a hub, as the regional hub of all aspects of AI. So I'm not saying that this is right now for sure is the plan, but for me, I think you see those sort of projects, and in the future, you see the importance and the mutual benefit of integrating in one cluster, for example. So this is, I think, how it can move or potentially would move in the future.
Thank you. My next question, I think, since we start with a bit on US-China, we move on to the region, GCC. Perhaps within the UAE itself, and perhaps I could ask you to maybe give some real-life day-to-day examples, and maybe I could hear from perhaps Mr. Ahmed Al-Afari, because he did his he did a project on AI predictive models and corporate bankruptcy, as his bio indicates. So I wanted to know, how has AI been integrated or incorporated into the number one, UAE's education system, number two, day-to-day government operations, and number three, are there similar plans for the other Emirates to push on with this endeavor for the national AI strategy of the UAE? So,
Yeah, sure. I think this is a very important question. So you asked the first part of your question was about the education. Education is a main aspect or a main sector that UAE is really have ambitious plans into integrating AI models and the curriculum for the kids to start or to begin with their schools. For example, they just announced that in the beginning of the year that they will include a whole subject only for AI for the small kids in schools to learn more about AI and to really understand the basic concepts behind AI, so they can grow up and they can be even scientists in the future, and to put that sort of appreciation in their minds to expand their knowledge in the future and to be thought leaders in this aspect. So that's regarding the schools. Government, we can see or we can use or we can see so many examples. For example, we have hospitals today, they are using AI models to predict or like AI health issues models to predict or to give better understanding about so many diseases. This is one thing. I think we are really started earlier in terms of developing our own LLM. This is really important. Why? Because we can see like Jace or K2 Think. These two examples show how UAE is really have ambitious plans to integrate their culture, their identity. So, it will be trained here in the UAE, so we can promote for the culture outside. So the other nations and other cultures, they will have better understanding of what UAE, what we are doing, and so on and so forth. I think that's pretty much some examples and among so many others.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. We have a question from the floor. And the question is from Prakash Ramchandani, asking, how can we get more information on the projects that are going on in the UAE? And are there opportunities for companies and individuals in Singapore to support or participate in such AI projects and endeavors?
Thank you first for showing interest in opportunities in the UAE. The government website, including you will find most of the government website. AI is integrated here on this website to be able to answer your questions. They are transparent. You can have lots of information about it for the different ministries. You can have the sort of big vision, like you can have all those documents available from the governmental website. And at the same time, you have also for the Ministry of Economy, there are lots of examples of the investment opportunities, what sort of how you can deal with the investment inside UAE. Everything that we mentioned and more than that, all the documentation, both in Arabic and English, are available through the websites of the government. I think this is very transparent and very informative, by the way. So you can find all this sort of information on the UAE government and the companies that I mentioned. And I think if you need any questions, you can, you have the channels, whether within Singapore, you can direct to us any more questions, and maybe even later. And we are definitely would love to help on those regards.
Maybe let us round off with one final question. It's a very general question on the G42, which is, of course, Abu Dhabi's technology group and a funding arm for technology-related projects. Perhaps we could hear more about what are the core projects that are being spearheaded by the G42 in Abu Dhabi, and then we can conclude from here.
Okay. G42 is the major company that works on AI, quantum computing, and advanced technology. They have a number of projects, including data centers. As I mentioned, Khazna data center is under G42. They are the ones who are working on the technical aspects within the whole framework of international cooperation for AI. Like I mentioned, for example, Microsoft, they invested already in G42, and they have a seat in the board. They have joint projects. They enter into joint projects. As I mentioned, the project about in Kenya, the data center that was announced, I think earlier this year or last year, for building the 1 gigawatt data center in Kenya. So they are mainly concentrating on advanced technology from the technical side, mainly AI. You have quantum computing and other aspects, and this is the sort of the framework that they work. They have like different, I would say, arms for this, including the technical part, from the modeling, from the data centers, and so on. Of course, more information. If you need more information, they have their website, and also, again, this is a sort of transparent, so you can go and check all the activities or their projects that they are working on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of today's session, and thank you very much to both our speakers, Dr. Al-Safty and Mr. Al-Fari, for enlightening us on the UAE's AI ambitions, particularly with the exciting developments related to Stargate. I'm certain that we will be hearing more of these news in the future, and on behalf of MEI, I thank the ECSSR for this fruitful collaboration. I hope that we will do more together going forward, and also thank you to our audience for your questions and participation. Thank you.